This video is part of our Configuration Manager lab setup video series, and in this video we are going to install all the required prerequisites for our Configuration Manager server. Hello IT pros, this is Jay Singh. Welcome to my channel TechNext Solutions. If you are new to this channel, hit the subscribe button and also click on the bell icon as well to get all the latest updates. Any links mentioned in this video, there will be quite a lot, and all these links will be mentioned in the description box below. In the first prerequisites, we are going to install IIS, RDC, BITS, and few other features that are needed for our configuration manager. And for that purpose, we are going to use a small script which will be mentioned in the description for you, so you can copy that and create your own, and then you can use that script. I'm going to log on to the host. Let's start installing prerequisites. Okay, so this is the host. You can see that CM01 is running, DC01 is running as well. And I will log on to CM01 and we will install IIS and other prerequisites. So in order to do that, we are going to use script as I mentioned, and that script I have saved in to CM_software. Okay, so not here. So if you go to File Explorer, CM software is here. If I double click on that, and you can see that it has a lot of content in it. So it has all the required software we needed for the lab. And if you have not checked out that video, in that video I have also shown you how you can download all the required software for our configuration manager lab. And I haven't mentioned scripts in that video, so I will leave it in the description below so you can have a look at that script which we are going to use to install the prerequisites. Okay, so this is where we are going to start with, and I am going to attach CM software, that virtual drive, to CM01. Okay, so to do that I have to actually eject that from the host. So currently it is actually connected to the host. I will right click and we will eject it. So it's gone, it's not there. Let's minimize this and we'll go to CM01, right click, settings. I remember in the previous video we have done it a lot. We came here like multiple times, and in hard drive add, and we are going to attach, which is already configured, and this is actually saved on here. CM software, open, apply, click OK, and we'll go to CM01, and here it should come up. We got a lot of drives configured for that server, and CM_software, that's what we are after. So here it says offline, right click and bring online, click on yes, and this one we don't have to format it because it's already formatted and it has data in it. So here it is, CM_software, double click on that, and this has a lot of content in it. So right now I'm interested in the scripts. If you double click on that and right click and click on edit, so this is what it has at the moment. For .NET framework, if you do not have internet connection, we have to use sources files for our Windows server. Okay, so Windows Server ISO file is not currently attached. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and attach that file. So that is an ISO file. So CM01, right click, settings, SCSI, DVD drive, add, image file, browse, and I'm pretty sure I saved in documents. It's here. So I will double click on that. It is auto populated here, and I will click on apply, click OK, and here we can see it is L drive. Okay, so if I double click on that, the content that we need for .NET, it actually resides in sources, and here SXS. Okay, so this is the content that we are interested in. So this is why this content is mentioned here in source. All right, if you have internet connection, you shouldn't be having any problem. If you don't have internet connection, then you need that. Okay, so this is why I'm using ISO file of Windows Server, okay, which I currently attached. So we can just go ahead and run that script. It is going to install IIS server and WMI. We can see that here, BITS RDC, and few other features which are required for our configuration manager. So what I'm going to do, I will actually run it as administrator. I will close that. Let's go back to that script, which is here, and scripts here, file, run as administrator, and we will see how it is going to install all these features as well. So script is MECM prerequisite installation, and hit enter on that, and it should start running it. Okay, so I have ran a small command which is get features, get Windows feature where installation state, install state equals installed, and we can see that these are the features which are currently installed. And I should have shown you earlier. So IIS WMI, it has just actually installed for us. So it is installing the other features. So we can see here, so name and install state installed, and we will run this command again to see that what would be the difference. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize this one. We'll let it finish, and I will be back as soon as this finishes. Okay, these roles and features are installed, as you can see that on the screen here. And if you run the same PowerShell again, and I'm gonna run it again, and you'll see that it has installed more roles and features. We can see that here. Okay, so that is good enough, and we can minimize this. So minimize that. You shouldn't see any errors. If you see any error, just make sure you rectify that before moving forward. Let's minimize this, and now we will move on to our next step. All right, so now in this step, we are going to install SQL Server, right? And SQL Server, we will look at some documentations as well. So what is the recommended version for Configuration Manager? There are a few versions Microsoft they recommend, and we will look at what we are going to install and what updates we need. Let's have a look at that. So here you can see that supported SQL Server versions, right? If you scroll down, you will have more information about it. We are using SQL Server 2017 standard, okay? So they say that you need CU2. So cumulative update version 2 or higher. So we will have the latest one, and I would recommend you to download the latest one. I've shown you how you can go and download the latest update in the previous videos, which we have done that, and we have downloaded all the required software for Configuration Manager. So scroll down, and actually that is it. So this is what we are going to install, SQL Server 2017 standard, and there's a white paper so from Microsoft regarding SQL Server recommendations for MECM, Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager. Link you will find in the description below. I would highly recommend if you can go ahead and read that document. That document has a lot of good knowledge about recommendations, and it has best practices mentioned in that. Okay, so before we install SQL Server, we will create a service account for SQL Service to run, and also we will create a group for SQL Server admins as well. And we will register that service account as a service principal name as well on our server. So let's have a look at that, how we can do that. For that, we have to log into domain controller, and I'm going to log in domain controller now. And this is CM01. I will go to Hyper-V, DC01. I will log in here. So here on DC01, open Active Directory, and in administrative users, we will create a new user. I'll bring it in the center, extend that, and under users, administrative users, right click new, we will create a user, and this will be our CM SQL. This is a service account. We will just name it CM underscore SQL at technext.local. Next, and the user cannot change password, and the password never expires. Tick these boxes, give it a password, click on next, and this will be our service account for SQL Server. And in groups, we are going to create a group here, and new group, let's call it SQL CM Configuration Manager SQL Server Admins. Click OK. So we need this group in when we will configure our SQL Server. So we have these two, and let's minimize that, and let's go back to our CM01. Here we are going to add two firewall rules. So I'm going to open Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. So here in Inbound, right click, new rule, and not two rule actually, we are going to add two ports. So port, next, and TCP, specify these port numbers. So it is 1433, space 4022. These are the two ports that we are going to add here. Click next, and allow the connection, and that connection we only want to allow for domain account. Next, and just call it allow SQL Server ports, and finish that. So we have 2 ports added here on the inbound. Okay, so now we are going to configure our service principal name. So you can do either on a member server, which is TechNext CM01, or you can do it from your domain controller. So I will go back to the domain controller. I'm going to do it from there. So this is 01, right click here. I'm going to open command prompt as administrator, and here I'm going to run this small command. You will find this command in the description below. So it is set spn space -a ms sql svc / technext cm01. Okay, so this is the server name, and this is the port number, and technext.local, it is the domain name, /cm_SQL, this is the account which we just created. Okay, so we will hit enter on it. So this is registered. That's good. So next thing, we are going to do a fully qualified domain name for our server, which is technext-cm01.technext.local. Okay, so we'll do that, hit enter on it, and this is done as well, and we will view it. So to view that username is registered properly, we will run this small command, which is set spn-l. So technext.local is the domain name, /cm_SQL, which is the username. So hit enter on that. You can see that this is registered. We can see it's registered twice. So one is fully qualified domain name, other one is technext-cm01. Okay, so this is FQDN. So now we are actually good to go ahead and install SQL Server 2017 standard on our CM01 machine. Okay, so for that we need our ISO file of SQL Server. So if you go to cm_software, I have saved that file here. I will double click on this ISO file. It will be mounted, and then we will run setup.exe. So double click on that, say yes. All right, so here we will choose installation. Click on that and install SQL Server. So first one, new SQL Server standalone installation. Click on that. This will launch the installation for us. Okay, so here if you have a product key, you can enter here, or you can specify, you can go ahead with evaluation as well. So I have a key, I'm going to enter my key, and I will click on next. All right, license and terms, we will accept. We cannot go ahead without accepting, obviously. So just click on next, and global rules, that is fine. And you can check updates. I wouldn't worry about it in this lab. So even I don't have internet connectivity as well. So click on next, and product updates, that's fine. We don't worry about it. So we will click on next. All right, firewall, this is just a warning. We can ignore that and click on next. If we click on it, this will show us firewall is enabled. If you go ahead and disable this firewall, this warning will go away. So let's not worry about this one. Close this and click on next. So feature selection, this is very important. We are only going to select database engine services, nothing else. And instance root directory, we will leave this default. Okay, click on next. Okay, so instance, I am keeping default. I would recommend you to keep it default as well. Also, you have an option to change it. You can update your instance name, which I'm not going to do it. We are keeping the default. So we will click on next. All right, so service accounts. So this is where we are going to use our account. So click on down arrow here and browse. So we will browse to cm_SQL, that account which we created for our SQL Server. So click OK, and I will copy that and I will paste it here in server database engine as well. Okay, so password, mention your password here. Okay, I have entered password twice for the first one and the second one. So startup type, automatic, and automatic for SQL Server Database Engine as well. So in collation, this is very important as well. So in collation, we are going to update the collation. There's a specific collation that we have to pick. So in collation, click on customize, and we will go to SQL collation used for backward compatibility, and scroll down, and we will be selecting SQL Latin 1. Let's have a look at that in the documentation. It is SQL Latin 1 General CP1 CIAS. So we'll go back here. Okay, so I will select this one, SQL Latent 1, General CP1 CIAS. Click OK, and this is what is selected. So now we will move forward. We will click on Next. Okay, so in database engine configuration, so the server configuration, Windows auth mode, so that's what we should select, and this is what is recommended by Microsoft as well. So I will add current user as administrator, and I will add the group that we just created, which was CM SQL Server admin. So click check names. This is populated here. Click OK. So this is here added as well. Okay, so data directories, leaving everything default here. So I'm not changing anything here. And in temp database, we are going to change few things. Okay, so data directories we are updating, and log directory we are updating as well. Okay, so I am going to this one, remove, and click add. So we have created our temp DB drive for that. Okay, so we will create a new folder in it, just call it database, and I will select that, and this is also selected for log directory as well. So number of files, this is the default when you install SQL Server, but Configuration Manager, according to their documentation, they are recommending to make it 4 files or more. So we have increased the number of files, and here auto growth, we will update this one to 256. So altogether 4 files, they will become 1 GB. All right, and here as well, so auto growth, we will update it to 256 as well. So if I minimize this, and we'll go to this document, which is a white paper from Microsoft, and if I do Control F, and if we do temp db, and I will search autogrowth settings, and you can see that there's a recommendation here. So you can read that in your own time. So regarding autogrowth, you can see that there is recommendation here as well. Okay, even they're saying that the initial size is too small, but we're leaving it as it is for our lab environment. So we'll go back to CM01. So here, this is the change that we have just made. So in production, people recommend to go with 8, so number of files, but for this lab, we are just going with 4. So 4 would be plenty for our lab. Okay, so this looks pretty good. We will click on next and we will move along. All right, so this is what we have selected so far, and we will click on install. System will go ahead and install SQL Server 2017 standard for us on this system. So I will click on install, and installation is in progress. I will be back as soon as this is ready. All right, so it took about 3-4 minutes, and SQL Server is installed. So we will close this one, and we will close this one as well. So we can eject SQL Server ISO file. All right, so next thing we are going to install is SQL Server Reporting Services. Okay, so this is an add-on. So SQL Server Reporting Services XE is right here. So we will just double click on that, and installation path, we will keep it default as well for that one. So that is fine because there's no internet connection. This is complaining about it. So we will run it. So install reporting services, evaluation period, and you can go ahead with that. And I'm going to enter the product key here. So next will light up as soon as I enter product key. So we will install that. Okay, so we will accept the license terms. Next, install reporting services only, click next. So this is the path where this is going to install, which is fine. We will install that one. Yes, so installation is started, and I will be back as soon as this is done. Okay, so that was pretty quick. So this is installed, and configure report server, we are not going to configure now, so which we can configure later. So we will restart our server. So just click on restart. So now we will install SQL Server Management Studio to manage our SQL Server installation. So this is a file which we are going to run. So double click on that, say yes to it. So this is the installation path where it is going to install our files. That is fine. Click on install. So I will be back when this is done, and after that we will restart our server. Okay, so this is installing. Okay, so SQL Server Management Studio is installed. So it's prompting us to restart our server, which we will do that. I will close this one and I will go ahead and quickly restart our server. So this is application and planned, continue. So while the server is restarting, I would like to talk about the memory for SQL Server. So to have a look at it, so what we will do if we go here and actually in the supported SQL Server versions, let's just go ahead and look for memory. And SQL Server memory, you can see that this is a recommendation. Okay, so they are recommending that give 50 to 80% for SQL Server if it is on the same computer. In our case, that is the case. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it about 2 to 3 GB to SQL Server. However, minimum is for 8 GB for primary site. And for secondary site, it is 4 GB. And also we might see a warning when we will install Configuration Manager. It will say that it does not have 8 GB, so which is fine. Alright, so this is restarted. I will quickly log in. Okay, so I have logged on to CM01 and we will open SQL Server Management Studio. So I'm going to pin it to start as well. We might come back to it later. So let's just open that and we will connect it with the user that I have currently logged in. Okay, and I will show you one more thing as well regarding configuration of SQL Server. All right, first of all, let's just change the memory. So I will change it to 50%. We'll give it 3 GB. So currently to this virtual machine, I updated to 6 GB. So this has 6 GB RAM and 3 GB we will allocate to SQL Server. Alright, so a database engine. So this is the server name, Windows Authentication. So username is CM admin. So connect. So this is connected and we will right click at the top and go to properties. So in properties, in memory, see this is the maximum which is given. So what I will do, I will give it 3 GB. So 3 GB will be 3072. Okay, so that's what we have to change and click OK on that one. All right, so that is it. So we can close this off. So we will come back to this later and just close this. In the start menu, if you click on that and in SQL Server 2017, you'll see SQL Server 2017 Configuration Manager. Click on that one. Yes. And here you can see SQL Services. It is running as CM_SQL, that user account we have selected. And start mode is automatic, and SQL Server Agent, CM_SQL, and also start mode is automatic as well. All right, so we can close this one. I'm doing this at the last, but I will add this with the SQL Server configuration part of this video. So this is installation of SQL Server Cumulative Update 2 or higher. So this particular update is update 20, so which we downloaded in one of the previous videos where we downloaded all the prerequisite software. So once you install SQL Server, SQL Server Reporting Services, and SQL Server Management Studio, you can go ahead and install this update. Now we are going to run this .exe file, which you can see here, SQL Server 2017-KB. So this is the number x64.exe. So this is an .exe file. Double click on that. So this is extracting the files. So once the files are ready, and then we would be able to go ahead and install that. I will say yes to it. Okay, so here license terms, we will accept that and click next on it. Select features is the next one. You can see that everything is ticked. There's not much there anyway. So we will click next on it. In the next, it will see what files are in use, which this update needs or it has to terminate. So let's click next on it. So we have two processes here, reporting services.exe and rsportal.exe. And let's not worry about it because there's nothing running in the background which needs these processes. Let's click next on it. And here you go. So it is ready to update. We will click on update. Okay, so once this completes, it will come up with this message. You can see that everything is succeeded. So what I will do, I will close this and I will go ahead and quickly restart this server. All right, now we install SQL Server, reporting services, and SSMS as well. And also we have updated the memory. We have made changes about the memory of SQL Server. So now the next part, so in this part, we are going to install WSUS, and also we are going to make some changes in WSUS as well. So let's have a look at how we can do it. So we will log on to CM01 to make these changes. So I have logged on to CM01. So you can see that here. So in Server Manager, we will click on Add Roles. So we are going to add role. So next, and installation type, role-based, next on that one. So server selection, CM01, that's where we are going to install. So click next on this one. Server roles is WSUS, Windows Server Update Services, and also management and all these features which it needs. We will click on Add Features as well. So click next. And there's no further change that we are going to make. So click next on that one. Next again. So we are going to untick WID connectivity. We will connect with SQL Server. All right, this is how we have configured. We have SQL Server there. So click next. So for content, we are going to store the content here in this PC. So in content library, so we will create a new folder. Just call it WSUS. And let's just copy that path. We will paste it here and click next. Database instance is default instance. For default instance, all we have to do, we have to type in our server name, which is technex-cm01.technex.local. And if you click on check connection, so you can see that it is successfully connected to server. Okay, so let's move forward. Click on next. So we can tick that restart the destination server if needed, but I'm pretty sure this is not going to restart. And we will click on install. So we will wait for it and I will be back as soon as this finishes. Alright, so WSUS is installed. We can close this one here. And now the next step is we will click on this yellow triangle and we will launch post-installation task. So in the post-installation, it will configure WSUS database. So I click on that and this is going to take a while. So it could take 5-10 minutes. And we can see that post-deployment configuration, it is doing that. So WSUS is here. And if we click on more, we can see that post-deployment configuration is running. All right, so this is running. I will be back as soon as this finishes. Okay, well, this was very quick. I did other day, it took 5-10 minutes anyways, so we can close that one. And if you click here, this is done. And now what we will do, we will update WSUS pool queue length. So I'll minimize this one. And if we go back to our, these are the best practices which Microsoft recommends. And I will leave this link as well for you so you can have a look at it. So here you can see that queue length for Configuration Manager 2000. Okay, and also they have mentioned about private memory here. They say 0, just make it unlimited. Default is this one. And here I think I'm pretty sure they have given a number. So this is 4 time. So this is the length and this is what they are saying, which we can update it to. So let's go back to our CM01 and here we will go to tools. Let's open IIS Manager and here extend that application pools. We will go for WSUS pool, right click and we will go to advanced settings. In advanced settings we can see queue length is here, which is 1000. We will do it to 1000. All right. And we have updated that, and the next part we are going to update is the memory. So memory is written here, so we will do 4 times. So what I will do, I will just copy that number and I'll put it here. So this is the number, copy it. It has commas in it. I tried putting with commas. If you do click OK, it won't take it. So we have to remove the commas. get rid of that and get rid of that as well. I will click on OK. You can see that it is more than happy. All right, so other thing that we are going to update is in our WSUS database, we can see that we have this database here, but we have nothing in it. Okay, so we have installed WSUS. WSUS database is configured as well. So to bring database here, because by default, SQL Server has put database somewhere else. So we will go to SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so here we will connect to it, and now we can see where the database is located. So remember, we have IIS server is still open. There's a reason why I didn't close it. So here in database, we can see susdb is here. Right click, and if we go to properties, we can see in files where the files are located. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so where we can see where the files are located. So this is a path. We can do Control C on the keyboard to copy the path. So if you do Windows R, and we'll paste this path here, click OK, and we can view these two files. Okay, so we are going to move these files to a different location. So we can right click, copy or cut. We'll do it shortly. So minimize all this. So we will go to IIS, and here WSUS pool which is running, right click, and we can stop that. So this is stopped. Apart from this, we are going to stop one of the service, which is WSUS. So open Task Manager, in Services, WSUS service. You can see this is running. Right click and we will stop it. Okay, so this is stopped. Minimize that. We'll come back to Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So right click, go to Properties, and just copy that path from the files. So once you have the path, make sure you open the path so that you can copy these two files. Minimize this one, close this one, and susdb, right click on it and go to Tasks and Detach and Drop Connections. Click OK for that one. So this is gone. So we will go back where the files are located, right click, cut the files or copy the files, and we will go to WSUS database drive. We will create a new folder, WSUS database. This is the name that I have given. I will paste these files here. So we have these files located here. So I will copy this path because we will need that path here. So select databases, right click, attach, and add here, and paste that path and click on refresh. So you will see susdb.mdf file. So click OK on that one. At the bottom here, you can see that WSUS database susdb.mdf and log.ldf files are located, and they are populated here. So click OK, and we can see that SUS database is back. So we can right click, go to Properties, and again just verify that in files you can see two files here, and their location is to our new path where we have saved our database. So we can close this one. We can close this as well, and we will go to Task Manager again. Let's start this service, WSUS service, and also we'll go to IIS and start WSUS pool. Right click and click on Start. So this is started and we are all good. So now we have configured WSUS for our configuration manager. Alright, so the next software which we are going to install, which is part of Prerequisite, is ADK and WinPE. Okay, so we are installing 2004 ADK and WinPE for 2004 as well. So let's have a look at that. So this is CM01 again. So open Explorer, File Explorer. Here we will browse to CM software. So Windows Kits 10 and ADK. So double click on that. So this is an offline installation. So you could do online installation. So in our previous video where we looked at software requirements for Configuration Manager, we downloaded offline. So I will double click on ADK setup, and here, so installation path, we'll keep it default. Click next, and no for sharing data. Next, and accept. So we need deployment tools and USMT, and we don't need anything else. So deployment tools, USMT, click install, yes, and this will install. Alright, so Windows ADK is installed. Now we'll go back to Windows Kits, and we have ADK WinPE add-ons. Double click on that and double click on this setup. So install here, that is fine. Click next, and no was already selected. Accept WinPE, click install, yes. So I will be back when this is done. Alright, so WinPE add-on is installed. We can close that one and we can close this one. So now we are going to extend Active Directory schema for Configuration Manager. So for that one, either you can log on to Domain Controller, you can do it from there, or you can do it from Configuration Manager, which is a member server. So let's have a look at that, how we can do that. So here's CM01, I am on CM01. So for Active Directory schema extension, we have to create a system management container. So let's just do that first. So I'm going to minimize this one. So this is a documentation. We'll talk about this one soon. So let's log on to DC01, open Server Manager, click on Tools, go to ADSI Edit. Okay, so this will open here, and click on Action, Connect to, and then connect to the default naming context, which will be your path, will be your domain. So click OK. I will make it a bit bigger. Extend that and extend again further. You'll see CN system. So within CN system, we are going to create a new container. So right click on that, click on new object. So the object is going to be a container. Click next, and name of this object is going to be system management. So make sure you name it properly, system management, and click on next and just finish. So if I extend that, and I will right click and refresh this so that it will come up here. So this is here, right here. So system management. Now let's update the permissions on this container. Right click, go to properties, and then in properties security. So in security further, we will click on advanced, and here click on add, select principal. So we will select object type would be a computer object. So let's just uncheck the rest and tick computers. Click OK. So we will add our configuration manager server, which is technext-cm01, and then click on check names. This will come up. Full control, this object and all descendant objects. So once you do that, click OK, and then hit apply on that one. So system container is there. Click OK as well, and click OK on that. So always you can go back and you can go to properties, security, and you can see that CM01 technext-cm01 computer object is listed here, which all is ticked. So we will close this one. So this is done, and minimize this one. I would like to show you one thing. So to extend schema, the account that you need to use, it should have schema admin permissions. So schema admins. So let's go back to domain controller again one more time. I'll go to Active Directory this time around, and on technext local, right click, find, and we will find a group here, name it schema admins. Fine, now we can see schema admins here. Double click on that, and if you go to members, you can see that administrator and CM admin both are members of this group. So which means CM admin, that account we can use to extend schema. So minimize this one. We'll go to CM01. For this one, we'll need installation files for configuration manager, which we have saved in cm_software. If you haven't, just make sure you have these files ready. So configuration manager folder has all these files. So we will go to SMS setup and click on bin x64, and there's a file called ext extend AD schema. So I will go to file, PowerShell administrator, and yes to that one. And here if you type ext and then hit tab on it, so you will find this file here. So I will hit enter on it. So you can see that it says successfully extended Active Directory schema. Apart from this one, it will actually put another file here in local disk C, extend AD that is a log file. We can see that successfully extended Active Directory schema. So close this one. I would like to show you another file which is in the installation files. Name of that file is ConfigMgr AD schema.ldf. So if we go back to CM01, so this is the file ConfigMgr AD schema.ldf. LDF is like a log file for SQL Server. So if you right click on it, open with and show apps notepad. Okay, so here is more information about what that schema extension does. So extending Active Directory schema, this has all the information which you can read in your own time. So let's just close it. Alright, so in this step, we are going to add our computer object in the local administrators on our Configuration Manager server. So let's have a look at that. So here, if I go to right click on the start menu and we'll go to Computer Management, and in Computer Management, local users and groups, double click on groups. There's administrators group here, double click on that and add. So we will add object type is computer. So uncheck everything except computers, do that. Click OK and we will type technex-cm01, which is our configuration manager. Click OK, click OK. So this is now part of admins on that machine locally as well. Click apply, click OK. Okay, so in this step, we are going to create a small file and we are going to place this file in all the drives except the content library drive. So let's have a look at that, how we can create that file and where to place it. So this is the documentation for the content library. You can see that. And this is the file we will create and place on all the drives which we do not want to be part of the content library. So let's have a look on CM01. If you go to File Explorer, we got in this PC, we have like a lot of drives. And what we have to do is we will create a file. We will place this file on every single drive except content library. So this is our content library. We want it to be content library. So this is why we do not want to put that file here. So we will put file on every single drive except content library. So to do that on the desktop, so view, just make sure that file name extensions is turned on. So right click and click new, and we will create a text document and the name is no_sms_on_drive.sms, and we will get rid of .text. And yes, so this is no SMS on drive.sms. Right click and we will copy that and let's just paste it on every single drive where we do not want it to be a content library except content library. So cm install, I will paste it here as well, and I will go to cm tempdb and paste it here, and make sure you paste it in the root directory. So WSUS db, paste it here, click continue, SQL MDF, paste it here, and then we'll go back. SQL LDF, we will paste this here as well, and we will go back. CM content source, paste here as well, and also we have CM software attached. We will paste this here as well in the root. And here it's just a drive, no one can write back to this one, so we wouldn't worry about that one. So in this part, we are going to configure database for our Configuration Manager server. It is recommended to configure database beforehand so that we have more control on the database and we can pick our location where we are going to save our database as well. So we can differentiate the log file on a different drive and also the database file on a different drive, which is MDF file. So we have two drives configured for that purpose. We have SQL MDF, so CM SQL MDF and CM SQL LDF, two different drives. So we are going to use these drives to save this database, and also we will change the auto growth for these two files, and we will look at what Microsoft they are recommending about it. Let's have a look at that. So I have logged on to CM01. This is where we are going to create new database. So we will log on to SQL Server Management Studio. So we will open that. I will connect it as the admin account. Click connect. So this will connect. So on databases, we will extend that. So this is what we have. Right click on that one, new database. This is where we are going to create. So database name is very critical. Okay, so we will use CM underscore. So the rest will be our site name. Okay, so this can be letters or digits. So maximum would be 3. So I will name it TK2, actually 3. So you can name it anything ABC, XYZ, or ABC1, ABC2. Okay, so this is the naming convention that I'm following. So this will be CM underscore TK3, and the site code for Configuration Manager is going to be TK3 as well. Just remember that. Okay, so owner here, a service account will say is SA. And files, this is where I was talking about. We have more control over our database. So file, you can see that by default, this is saving here on this path. We will update that path now. So, and also we are going to create more files. So we will create 4 database files. Let's just add that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one we will name it _1. And I will copy this, and then the rest we will name accordingly. So I copy that, and I will paste here 2, and this, the next one will be 3, and then 4, and the bottom one we can remove that. So we have 4 database files and 1 log file. And the size, the initial size, it is 8 megabytes. So we will increase the initial size. So either we can go 128 or 256. So I will just go 256 for the database files. So if we go 256, and altogether this will become 1 GB, 256 and 256 here as well. And our log file, this will be 512 megabytes. So auto growth is when this will fill up. So auto growth is 64 at the moment. Either we can go half of this one, 128. So we'll go half, click OK, and click on this here. So for the log file, we will go half of 512, which is 256. And here again, 128, and update for the rest as well to 128 for the auto growth. So click OK, and here 128 for the auto growth as well. Alright, so this looks good, and path is very important. So we will go to File Explorer. We see here CM/SQL LDF, double click on that. Here we will create a new folder, CM_DB, and we'll go back, and then on our MDF, we will create new folder here as well, CM_DB. Okay, so double click on that. We will copy this path, and we will paste this path here. So Control A, Control V, click on it, Control A, Control V, Control A, Control V, Control A, Control V. So here on the log one, so Control A, Control V instead of H. So the drive for that one is I. Let's just copy that again. We'll go here, Control V. This looks pretty good. And options. So we will update recovery model here to go with simple, because this is what Microsoft they recommend. And rest looks very good to me. And I will click on OK to create this database for our configuration manager. Click OK on that one. Alright, so our database is ready. If we go back to our CMDB, and this is the file which we created, it is 512. This is a log file, 512. And if we go back here, and then we will look into MDF, and here there are 4. So 4 files. If you go to properties, we can see this 1 GB altogether. and close this one. Other thing is very important. Select this database, and if you go to new query, so you will run this query to double check that collation of the server is correct. So I will just paste this here, and I will run this query, and then you can see that server collation SQL latent 1 general CP1C IIS. So this is the collation that we need for this server. Alright, so in this step we are going to add .msi file to the allow list of our IIS server. So open Server Manager on CM01 and then click on Tools, and we will open IIS Manager. So in IIS Manager, select your server, and here you will see request filtering. So double click on that one, and on the right hand side here in Actions pane, you can see that allow file name extension. Click on that and just type in .msi and click OK. If you scroll down the list, you can see that .msi file has been added to the allow list. Okay, so everything looks pretty good, and we have installed all the prerequisites, and we're ready to install Configuration Manager, which we are going to do in the next video. However, there's one more thing that I would like to show you. So let's have a look at that. So here I will go to CM Software, where we have Configuration Manager setup files in Configuration Manager, and here SMS setup. So this is what I renamed it to Configuration Manager ConfigMgr. So these are the setup files. Double click on that. We will go to SMS setup and then bin and x64. Here there's a file called Prereq Check XC. So you run this file to find out if you have cleared all the prerequisites. So we will click on File and PowerShell, Run as Administrator. Click yes to it, and it has different parameters which we can do. So if you run Prereq Check XC /?, you can see that these are the parameters it takes. So to view it that everything is cleared, there is a small switch we can use. This is pity that they haven't mentioned that switch here. I was looking through it, I couldn't find. If you could find it, just mention in the comments below. And so that one is local, so we will see that /local, and let's just run it. So you can see that GUI came up, and this is going through and doing all the prereq check for us. You can see in the GUI, or you can see actually here on the PowerShell as well. Okay, I have seen this false positive which says that SQL Server Security Mode. So you can see that this is a false positive, definitely false positive, because I'm pretty sure that SQL Server on this server is configured as Windows Authentication, not SQL Authentication. And with process memory, I knew it, this is going to throw this warning. That is fine. So we are pretty good. We can run this check again. You can cancel it, or if there's any problem you find here, you can fix that beforehand. Let's just cancel that. Okay, so that is all for this video. We have installed all the prerequisites and configured Configuration Manager database as well, and saved that database on our 2 drives for the log files and for our database files as well. If you find this video informative, give it a thumbs up, and show your support by subscribing to my channel and click on the bell icon as well to get all the latest updates. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments box below. I'm more than happy to help. In the next video, we are going to look at how we are going to install Configuration Manager server on our CM01 virtual machine.